It was a quiet evening when my wife and I were sitting in the living room, trying to have a serious talk about our relationship. For the past few months, things had been distant between us. I had been trying to figure out why, but every time I asked, she would brush it off. That night, she finally looked at me with a flat expression and said, "I just don't feel excited anymore." Her words cut deeper than she probably intended, but I stayed calm, hoping we could talk through it. I asked her if it was something I had done or if I had failed to meet her needs. She shook her head and told me it wasn't about me personally, but about her. She said she just didn't feel that spark, didn't feel horny anymore, as she bluntly put it. I didn't know what to say at first. My mind was swirling with thoughts. Was this the end? Was she falling out of love with me? As I sat there trying to process it, the sound of footsteps came from the hallway. Her younger sister, Mia, walked into the room. She had been staying with us for a few weeks after moving to the city for a new job. Mia was always playful, sometimes a bit too bold for my liking, but I never imagined what would happen next. Mia looked between us and smirked. "What's going on here?" she asked, sensing the heavy atmosphere. My wife sighed and told her, "I was just telling him I don't feel excited anymore." That's when Mia tilted her head, raised an eyebrow, and with a mischievous grin said, "Then let me." I froze. My wife looked shocked, but instead of immediately telling her sister off, she laughed nervously. "Mia, that's not funny," she said. But Mia didn't laugh. She just kept looking at me with that same daring expression. My heart was pounding. I couldn't tell if this was some sort of twisted joke or a real proposition. The tension in the room became unbearable. I glanced at my wife, expecting her to shut this down completely, but she just stared at her sister with wide eyes. Finally, she asked, "Are you serious right now?" Mia shrugged. "Well, if you can't make him happy, maybe I could." I stood up, unsure whether to walk away or demand an explanation. My wife looked more confused than angry, almost as if she was actually considering the idea. That unsettled me even more. I said firmly, "This isn't appropriate. At all." But Mia just leaned back against the wall, watching us like she was testing the limits. After a tense pause, my wife told her to go back to her room, but her voice lacked real authority. Mia smirked again before leaving, clearly satisfied with the chaos she had stirred up. I sat back down, still in shock. "Why didn't you stop her immediately?" I asked. My wife avoided my gaze, mumbling, "I didn't know what to say." That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept replaying the moment in my head, the look in Mia's eyes, my wife's hesitation, the strange way she didn't seem entirely upset. It made me question whether this was really the first time such a thought had crossed her mind. The next morning, things felt awkward. My wife acted like nothing had happened, but Mia kept giving me these sly looks whenever my wife wasn't watching. I avoided being alone with her, afraid she might try to push things further. My trust in my wife had taken a hit, not just because of what Mia said, but because of how she responded. Over the next few days, I tried to talk to my wife about it, but she brushed it off as an inappropriate joke and told me to forget about it. But I couldn't forget. It wasn't just a joke, it was a line that had been crossed, even if nothing physical happened. I started noticing other signs too, late-night whispers between the sisters, strange glances, and my wife's growing indifference toward me. I realized then that this wasn't just about her lack of excitement. Something deeper was wrong. Maybe she had already checked out of our marriage emotionally, and Mia's words had only exposed it. The worst part was, I no longer felt sure I even knew my wife anymore. One evening, I overheard them talking in the kitchen. Mia was saying something about giving him what he needs, and my wife told her to stop, but her voice didn't sound like she truly meant it. That was the moment I knew I couldn't stay in this situation any longer. The very next day, I packed a bag and told my wife I was leaving for a while. She didn't fight me. She just nodded, almost relieved. And as I walked out, I couldn't help but wonder if Mia had been waiting for this outcome all along. In the end, it wasn't just about what Mia said, it was about the cracks it revealed in my marriage. Those words were the spark that lit the fire, but the truth was, the damage had already been done long before she ever walked into that room.